main reason why we have developed this football periodization philosophy is for the players. Although we are educating coaches, we do it for the players. Because I myself was a youth player at the highest level in Holland, and I picked up an injury that destroyed my dream to become a professional player. And I witnessed myself, experienced myself, and I also saw it around me, that a lot of injuries in football are unnecessary, and that a lot of careers are stopped in an early phase unnecessarily. The ultimate goal is that we will reduce the enormous amount of injuries in football, so that all these players who from the age of 6, when they had this dream to become a professional football player, that all these players all around the world can fulfill that dream without being injured by an uneducated coach.
A lot of the time we go about it doing long runs or jogging, and you're not training marathon runners at the end of the day. That's what it makes very clear. It's about the specificity involved in football, and there's nothing that I won't take from what I've learned at the schools, because it's all very beneficial, from the periodization or planning, if you want to look at it from that direction, all the way to his programs for the week, the way he looks at strength training, the way he looks at aspects of building up fitness, and he always uses football in terms of building up fitness. There is never a case where the ball is not included, which I like a lot, because in South Africa we usually start developing players at a later stage.
What I have done is I have turned it around. I have taken football as a starting point and analyzed football first in football language, and based on that football reference I have explored all the different areas of expertise, but like I said, with football as a starting point and in football language, and therefore you develop a football specific approach.
All I knew years back about periodization is to run with and without ball, but his philosophy is making me to change the way of training.
The philosophy is different to our usual mindset, but I think we need to equip and we need to educate a lot more coaches to stand away from that stance of seeing football in the traditional way that they used to, how their coaches coach them, and then look at the new approach. And something that was already in front of us, but we were just afraid to grasp it.
With this philosophy that Raymond is trying to implement in all of you, the important point is that the coaches, after these 3 days, will start to talk only about football, okay? Because football is like a science, okay, where you must try to give facts to the players and facts to the other coaches.
Now, periodization is something that already happened with the old Greek sporting culture, but in football it is relatively new, because traditionally in football what you often see is that coaches train only day by day, and they don't think any further than maybe 1 or 2 days or the next game. While in other sports, periodization over weeks and months or seasons is quite normal. So what I did was I introduced those principles in football, and I tried to teach coaches to plan every day, every week and every month in advance, so that you balance your training session, you don't accumulate fatigue over time, and you don't pick up unnecessary injuries. And as a result, you can train and play with your strongest team more often.
I think one of the key areas that Raymond highlighted is the essence of football, the simplicity of football, and he just provided a very helpful framework and philosophy from which to work, both as a coach and also as a trainer. So I really felt it beneficial, just how simple it was, and just how all bases were covered in terms of planning and periodization.
A lot of the time it's more what we do and how we do it, reinforced by some of the things that he showed, certainly on the practical side. But certainly the periodization model that he's just shown on the screens before is something that's quite interesting. But otherwise it just reinforces some of the things that we already have at the club and we already have a belief about, like the psychology and that side of things.
What I'm doing on a deeper level is teaching them how to coach. So I am constantly referring back to practical situations, and I've even showed them yesterday several clips from real situations when I was working with a team and I show them clips about me doing team meetings with players, that I also teach them how to coach football and players in general, because you can be the biggest periodization expert in the world, but if you cannot manage players and if you cannot manage a team, then your periodization knowledge will be absolutely useless.
Today, basically learning about how to deal with players. You might get different kind of individuals, how you address them individuals, how you become a better interested coach, so how you be able to adapt to conflict, how you make sure that you lead the group and not an individual, how you make sure you maintain a winning mentality throughout the whole group instead of just one player.
Football periodization, what I'm, for example, also coaching in these 3 days is psychology. I show them how you can make psychology football specific as well. So, for example, yesterday with the practical, while we were doing football conditioning exercises, improving the football fitness of players, at the same time, with the help of my coaching, I showed all the delegates, all the coaches, how you can use psychology also during your football sessions. And hopefully, after this course, they will not only become better periodization experts, but they will become better coaches in general.
The most practical part of the whole conference has been the simplicity of how simple it can be and how to break it down into principles and then implement these principles that are facts and not opinions, and schedule your training sessions and your periodization for each season to ultimately condition your footballers to play a top game, a fast game and a winning game.
I show how you can apply it in professional football, but in the same session I also show them how you can apply it in amateur football or in youth football, how medical staff can benefit from it and how fitness staff can benefit from it. So going from general principles over the course of the 3 days, I gradually make it specific for all the areas of your staff.
This course has given us tools for not only for development stages, but also for the PSL and for senior level and for international level. These principles get applied. I think football in this country will take a step in the right direction.
Basically bring everything to the context of football and bringing football as a minute at the end of the day, rather than bringing other sciences and other aspects of into football.
Well, the biggest benefit of periodization is that you get a top fit team, but without injuries. So, because you can train every day with all your players, and you can play every game with all your players, you can practice and play more with your strongest team, and therefore the chance of winning will increase dramatically. And at the same time, you still get a very fit team.
You play football and you speak the football language, and there are no other aspects that come into your training. You don't have specialized movement trainers, you don't have strength trainers, it's only football coaches.
My ultimate goal when I'm educating these coaches is that one day they become a better coach than me or a better teacher than me, because then I have achieved my goal and I have helped them to raise the bar.
In terms of long-term benefits, if the program is followed correctly, the player is able to adapt much easier, develop his fitness much better, and subsequently or ultimately become a force to be reckoned with on the football field, and at the end of the day also allowing him to achieve his full potential in a specific manner, not withstanding or not leaving out specific areas of his development which are very important and is going to affect his life as a professional footballer one day.
We do this ultimately for the players and also for the game, because if the best players are on the pitch, we, the fans, will see better games, better football, better entertainment, and then at the end of the day everybody's happy.